You know, there is a lot of talk these days about being a conscious person, right? The idea that we should be cognizant of ourselves, of the environment that we're in, of the people around us, having empathy and understanding for others. I think this idea of being a conscious person is an awesome thing that has evolved in the zeitgeist of our society. However, I think that when we're too self-conscious, it can be a little bit of a drawback and a disadvantage in life. When we turn our consciousness too much on ourselves and we start to become uncomfortable because we're worried what people think of us or how we're coming across in the world, that self-consciousness can actually disable us and can stop us from becoming the person that we want to be. And that's what I want to talk about in this video today. Why you feel self-conscious, what causes it, and some different ways that you can start to overcome it in your life. If you're new to this channel, hello there, my name is Daniel Midson-Short. I am a person just like you who loves personal development, self-improvement. I'm not a millionaire guru. I'm not some person who has all the answers. I'm just a person on my own path of self-improvement, the same as you are. And these ideas are things that have definitely helped me to improve the amount of self-consciousness I feel in life and to become more confident as I'm navigating my way through the world. Now, you might think, looking at me talking to you right here on camera, that I'm not really a self-conscious person, but trust me, even though I'm today quite confident in myself and I get up in front of people and speak in front of audiences and I feel good in social situations, for most of my life, especially in my young life and my teenage years, I was a very self-conscious person. I was obsessed with what people thought of me and the way I was coming across to other people. It used to freeze me in my tracks. I wasn't able to speak up in groups. I would feel extremely self-conscious whenever I would go out. I felt like people were looking at me or judging me, and I wasn't able to be comfortable in any situation unless I had got to know the people first or I'd really kind of revved myself up and got myself in the mode where I was going to go into a social situation. Maybe you feel exactly the same in your life right now, and my biggest message here is that it is possible to reduce the amount of self-consciousness that you feel in your life and to feel more confident. It takes time, it takes work, but it is possible, and I am a living example of that. So let's start off by understanding what it means to be self-conscious. Why do we feel self-conscious? Well, the dictionary definition of self-conscious is the feeling of undue awareness of oneself, one's appearance, or one's actions. Now, I think the most important word here is the word undue, meaning that we don't actually need to be as conscious of ourselves as we are, but we seem to place more weight on the opinions and especially what we think people are thinking about us rather than what we feel or what we're going through internally. This tendency to look to other people for approval or for direction is one of the reasons why self-consciousness starts to evolve. Now, it is a very natural thing because when you're a little kid, you are told what to do, where to go, what to think. It's very normal for you to look to other people for guidance and support in your life and direction of what you should actually do. But as you grow into a teenager and into a young adult, that starts to change. And this idea that you constantly need the approval or the recommendations of other people can start to become a bit of a crutch. And I think this is at the core of why we start to become self-conscious. We're hyper aware of other people's opinions and what they're thinking or what they're feeling because we're actually looking for direction and guidance instead of being internally directed. You probably know people who live their entire life obsessed with other people's opinions, what people are saying and thinking and doing, instead of being inner directed, instead of having that inner locus of control, as psychologists call it. This is a really crucial point that it took me a long time to understand. The reason why you feel self-conscious is because you are outer directed. You're focusing on the reactions and the opinions and the thoughts of others, looking to them for guidance and approval and direction in life rather than going internal. And as an adult, you have to learn to focus on your internal locus of control and start to let that direct you rather than the world around you. It's not easy to do, but with training and awareness around it, slowly you can start to listen to your inner voice and your own thoughts and beliefs rather than those of the people around you, and this reduces the amount of self-consciousness that you feel. So let's talk quickly about some of the ways that we tend to feel self-conscious in our life. There's 3 of them that I've noticed, and I want to go through them in a little bit of detail each and explain them to you, and maybe you'll recognize some of them for yourself. The first one is feeling inadequate in ourselves. This is where we look look at ourselves and we think we don't have what it takes, we're not up to scratch, we're not up to the standards of other people, and we start to beat ourselves up. We're negative towards ourselves. This is really common, and it's often a reason why we feel self-conscious, because we're looking at the world around us and we're thinking other people have everything figured out, other people are fine, but we have problems that they don't know about. Well, trust me, everyone feels the same internally. It's just when you're a highly self-conscious person, you tend to listen to that internal voice too much rather than realizing that it's normal and you don't have to give it as much weight. The second way that we feel self-conscious is when we compare ourselves to others. Now, I've made an entire video talking about comparing yourself unfavorably to other people, and it's something that can become a mental trap, especially in the world of social media where everyone puts their highlight reel out there. We look at ourselves and we think, wow, I'm not living the best life that I could compared to this person, or my peer or my sibling or someone in my life has a better life than me. They're more confident, they look better, whatever it is. We're comparing ourselves unfavorably, and this goes back to making us feel inadequate in ourselves. It is a mental trap that we can fall into. Everyone has flaws and weaknesses. It just depends where you look. You can choose to compare yourself unfavorably to others if you want to, but the reality is that we all kind of balance out. Some of us have strengths in some ways, some of us have strengths in others, but we all kind of balance out in the end. You have to realize if you're falling into the trap of comparing yourself, it is a mental hurdle that you have to overcome. You have to catch yourself in the act and say, I am equal to everybody else and everyone else is equal to me. There is no way that you can compare yourself. And the third way that we feel self-conscious is by overanalyzing our words or our actions. Now, you probably have done this in the past where you've gone into a social situation and you've done something or you've said something and you were so embarrassed in the moment and you thought, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Later on, you beat yourself up for hours about it. This is because you're overanalyzing your words and your actions. Most people don't actually care what you say or you do because they're so aware of themselves and they're so focused on themselves. But in the moment, it can feel like everyone is judging you, everyone's looking at you, everyone's saying, why did you say that? Why did you do that? The reality is that we are the ones who are overanalyzing our situation, and that is what makes us feel self-conscious. So let's talk about 3 different steps that you can take to reduce the amount of self-consciousness that you feel in your life. The first one is to go easy on yourself. Another way to say this is to be a better friend to yourself. Very often when we tend to feel self-conscious, it's because we're beating ourselves up. Like I said earlier, we're overanalyzing what we said or we did, or we're comparing ourselves unfavorably to other people. We're looking at ourselves as being somewhat inadequate, especially compared to others or where we should be in life. The tougher you are on yourself, the more reasons you're going to find to say that you're inadequate or someone's better than you or that you're an idiot or you keep making mistakes or whatever. It becomes a vicious cycle of negative self-talk. Going easy on yourself is one of the best ways to reduce the amount of self-consciousness you feel. At times when I've done something in public where I've made a fool of myself or I thought I did, the first thing that I've learned to do is to say to myself internally, it's okay, nobody cares, you're going to be fine. Those 3 little mantras, it's okay, nobody cares, you're going to be fine, start to help you to go easier on yourself. Try that for yourself the next time that you feel self-conscious. Just tell yourself, it's okay, nobody cares, and you're going to be fine. This will help you to go easier on yourself. Treat yourself like you would treat a good friend. You wouldn't be mean, cruel, and nasty to a good friend. You would actually give them support and encouragement. Do the same thing to yourself in the moment, and you'll find that it starts to break that cycle of self-consciousness that you feel. The second way to stop feeling self-conscious is to focus on your strengths. Every single person in the world has strengths and talents in their life. We're all different, we're all varied, but we do have strengths and abilities. It's important that you recognize yours and that you build yourself up internally. One way that you can do this is to just make a list of all the different ways that you have already succeeded in life or you have skills and abilities. Write down your strengths and realize that you do have particular talents and abilities. And then that will start to build a sense of emotional capital inside of you. The more strengths that you recognize that you have, the more you will start to feel good about yourself. You're starting to build an internal reputation with yourself, and that will kind of combat the feeling of self-consciousness and to start to defend you against it. And the third idea to reduce the amount of self-consciousness that you have is to stay in the present moment. This one is really a great hack if you're in an environment where you're feeling self-conscious. The tendency is to go into your head and to start thinking and feeling certain things when people are around you. You think, what are they thinking thinking of me? Oh no, I'm feeling nervous. Now they know that I'm nervous. The internal monologue that you have starts to trigger your emotions, which then triggers more thoughts, and it becomes a cycle. You'll notice that I'm saying the word cycle a lot. It's very common in feeling self-conscious. The way to combat this is to stay in the present moment. Just like I did then. Stay in the moment. Reduce the amount of thoughts that you're having. Focus on your breathing. Focus on your feet standing on the ground. Be aware of the sights and sounds around you. This basic presence and awareness is a great technique to reduce self-consciousness and anxiety in the moment. Another great trick is to keep your eyes focused forward. When you focus your eyes directly forward, it is very hard for your brain to have scattered thoughts. These simple physical techniques help you to reduce the amount of self-consciousness you feel in the moment and to feel like you're in control. The more present you are in a situation, the more you're kind of just responding to what's happening, the less your internal monologue and that cycle will start to take over. It takes a little bit of time. The way I've learned to do this is every morning I would go for a walk and I would practice just being present in the moment, listening for sounds, noticing the environment, noticing the air on my skin, different things like that. Being very present in the moment starts to bring you back to reality and it gets you out of your head. It's a great technique in a lot of parts of life, but it's especially helpful to reduce the amount of self-consciousness that you feel. The final thought that I have for you is the difference between self-conscious and self-aware. These two ideas are thrown around a lot, and I think it's important to understand the difference between the two. Self-consciousness is when we're hypersensitive to the responses and reactions of other people. We're worried what they're thinking all the time. Self-awareness is you understanding how you're coming across to people in the world. It's working on your communication skills or your presence, things like that. It's being aware of the way that you display yourself to the world and who you are as a person. Self-awareness comes from a place of strength because you're building yourself up. You're creating a better version of yourself. And I think that's the key to moving past self-consciousness, is to move yourself towards self-awareness. It takes a little bit of time, but the more you understand who you are internally, how you work as a person, you understand your strengths, and you find ways to be more in command of yourself, the better self-awareness you will start to have. My friends, as I said in the beginning, being self-conscious is something that you can overcome. It takes time, it takes effort, and it does take breaking some old mental habits that we fall into. Being self-conscious is a natural part of life. Everyone feels it at some level, some more than others, and if you're going through it right now, I promise you, if you just keep practicing the idea of self-awareness, focusing on your strengths, being present in the moment, and going easy on yourself, you will become more confident and more in control of your life. Hopefully these ideas have been valuable for you. Thanks as always for watching. If you like what I'm doing here on this channel, please leave a like and consider subscribing. We'd love to have you as part of our community. My name is Daniel Midson-Short. Thank you for watching, and as always, thank you for improving yourself.